Yeah, Weege show. That's what we call SuperMotocross World Championship, Monster Energy Supercross, Pro Motocross Media Days, and we are at Angel Stadium. It is about 7 o'clock on the third straight day of this, 4 straight days for me working. But what we do at Media Days, we bring in every rider, privateers today, factory riders the previous 2 days, and we get, on my side, the broadcast side, the media side, we get updates. It's very dark out right now, isn't it? This looks better. The Angel Stadium lights, now we're backlit. We get updates on how everyone's off season is going, and we do it a month before the season, so they're not in Anaheim 1 nervous freak out mode. They're much more relaxed, and we get the best stories because they're in that mode, and everybody's in a fantastic mood because, as you know, everyone is stronger than ever, healthier than ever, bikes better than ever, everyone's flying at the test track, everyone is looking forward to what's going to be the best year of their career, and that runs the full gauntlet from borderline main event guys who are healthier and at a much better spot mentally and physically and with the motorcycle, and even the top riders in the series who feel that way too. Now, the one other caveat to why I get these great stories is because the room that we work in on the TV side, no cameras, no recording. We want casual background information conversations. Even the most experienced celebrity, athlete, rider in this case, who's done a million interviews on the podium in front of crowds and cameras, maybe they're 10%, maybe they're 10% different when the camera's on. We get them in their most natural setting. Now, you can go to YouTube right now and watch a lot of videos on the media side. They were in another room. The endemic traditional media did get to interview the riders with cameras on. You can watch some of that, but I'll sum up some of the things I heard in my room. But keep in mind, this is all paraphrasing, as we call it. These are not direct quotes, but these are the vibes that I got. And the overall vibe for me is, gosh dang it, everybody. How do you not love this sport? How do you not love this time of year? How do you not love the hope, the anticipation, and all the great things? I've always said that this sport is either the biggest small sport, the biggest small sport, or the smallest big sport. It is not these guys in Major League Baseball. It's not baseball. That's why the baseball players get paid a lot more. More people watch baseball games and go to baseball games times 30 franchises and 162 games. It's not that big. It's not Formula One. We know that. But there are other motorsports, most of them, that would kill for this scenario, which is that we've basically been coming to this stadium itself for 40 some years. The entire sport in general, 50 some years. Same team, same dates, same everything. Stability. I can never stress that enough. I've talked about it a lot on this Weege show, which is brought to you by Honda and the 2025 CRF450R and CRF250R. See it on the track this year. Hymas, Shimoda, feeling better than last year. The Lawrence brothers, feeling better than last year. Everything's better. Go check them out at your Honda Power Sports dealer. I love that the sport is big enough and professional enough where people can come to California a month before the season. They have fresh gear, they have PR people to get them around, they're doing photos, they're doing videos, they're doing all these promotional things that go with being a big time sport. It is so professional. There is nothing slammed together, thrown together. And I think we take for granted when we see how slick of a production Supercross, and then in the broader sense now, the whole thing, the Pro Motocross side, the SuperMotocross World Championship, we take for granted how slick it is. But there's a lot of people that have to all work together, teams, riders, whatever. Nobody no-showed. No one that was on the list. Every rider came and did their 4 hours of photos and videos and interviews and information sessions and all that. Everyone bought in on it. The teams, the riders, and of course Feld, who put this event together. So I just think that's cool, and you cannot help but get excited when you get the hashtag deep field vibe of all the athletes that are here, and they're all gonna have their best season ever coming soon, starting at Anaheim. Let me give you a quick synopsis. You probably saw some videos. We'll start at the top. Jett Lawrence is the world champ, the 450 Supercross champ. You've probably seen some videos already on YouTube, and we have an interview with him on the racetrack site you can read about. He's in a different place, pretty clearly, by his own admission, with the fans from where he was a year ago. I think the Anderson incident early last season, followed by the boos, Anaheim 2 at this building, I think it changed things. He is now in the, I'm just gonna keep trying to win, and those that doubt me or those that don't like me, that just motivates me. He even told us, you know, it's kind of that Michael Jordan thing, you know, you'll even maybe turn something a little bit just to make it even seem worse, to motivate yourself as an athlete. I think he ended it at one point and said, it was David Villemin who was in the room with us, because he's part of the French broadcast now, which is just announced today. There'll be a French language broadcast. Villemin's like, why are you talking about all this negativity? Most people that know what they're talking about in the pits, they respect you and they love you. And he's like, yeah, but that doesn't get you out of the bed in the morning and make you want to train. And that's awesome, because plenty of athletes like Michael Jordan did motivate themselves with those types of tactics. I just don't think that that was where we thought Jett Lawrence's headspace would be 2 or 3 years ago, when he was the happy-go-lucky, bouncing off the walls, you know, 17-year-old who was more like a 12-year-old, wisecrack, joking, nicknames for everyone, buddies with everyone on the track guy. That has changed. It is a more serious, can I say, darker version of Jett, and the fan response, the social media thing, he admitted that has flipped that. Now, what he probably doesn't know is that this is all a cycle, and at some point it'll come all the way around, and he will be applauded and he will be a legend. They will be going nuts for him. The same people that cheered him 3 years ago will cheer him 3 years from now, that are booing him now. It's just a weird way that a lot of sports work, especially this one. I have seen the exact same thing happen with many riders in this sport, but it's just interesting to see Jett in that headspace. I don't feel like he was quite there at this time a year ago, but I think the Anderson thing, the industry and all the riders who commented on that, and the reaction from the fans have affected it. As I always like to say on the show, you might think that's awesome that he feels that way, or you might think it's ridiculous that he feels that way. I'm just telling you that he feels that way. You guys have an opinion on your own. Me, I try not to get too bent out of shape about it, because I can almost guarantee you again that this story will change within the next couple of years. I saw James Stewart cheer to the Red Bud podium in 04, booed on the Red Bud podium in 05. Now Stu's a legend who quadded everything and beat 250S in a 125, and he's awesome. I saw Ricky Carmichael get booed. I saw Ricky Carmichael get cheered. It's just the way these things go. And Jett Lawrence is in that blender right now. I just hope that it doesn't bother him so much that he can't get through it, but that I'm using it for motivation thing, probably gonna be okay then. You just don't want so much joy to be taken away that the dude doesn't want to even do this anymore, which we kind of did see for whatever reason with Ryan Villopoto. So I think that's just the only scary part. You definitely don't want to lose someone that's that good before they should, like Villopoto. Go. Okay, so that's A. B, Hunter Lawrence kind of responding to that as well. I think one of the other things that drove it home for them was going back to Australia. They had a great time there. The stadium was going nuts for them. Everywhere they were around the track, they had that kind of wave of everywhere their bike was, the crowd was cheering. That's how Hunter described it. So I think that was a little bit of a, this doesn't feel like that, kind of driving the point home of the fan reaction to them right now. So that was interesting. They didn't talk too much about the motorcycle, except it hasn't been as quick and easy a transition in Supercross with the 25 Honda as it was. We saw great success immediately with it in Motocross and SMX. Supercross, they're still working on stuff, but the Lawrences are good. I don't think it's gonna be a massive problem come January. My biggest question actually coming into the week was Chase Sexton, who I think has gotten a little bit forgotten right now. Eli Tomac has had a fantastic last couple of months, great in SMX, great at the Donations, won the World Supercross title there yesterday over in Abu Dhabi. So I think Tomac's getting a lot of buzz. Cooper Webb was here with us this week. Cooper Webb talked about his traditional strategy and tactics, you know, gonna use consistencies, really worked on the speed last year, really working on the speed this year. I think Cooper Webb proved last year that he is just a permanent fixture in the 17-round Supercross point chase, can never be counted out. And that's like a known commodity, right? I think Sexton is the real dynamic player here, because he spent this event last year not really saying that his bike was amazing. What did I say at the beginning of this video? That almost every rider has never felt better and has never been stronger, and their bike's never been better at this time of year. It was shocking to hear Sexton not saying that at this time last year. We asked him about that, and he's like, Yeah, this time last year, you cannot believe the problems we had. He said 2 weeks before Anaheim 1 last year, he was not even riding the whoops at the test track. He was that uncomfortable. He was doing laps. This is the 450 Supercross champion at that time, not going through the whoops at the test track. That's how off he was. They got better really close to Anaheim 1. He could at least go through whoops. He pulled off a podium there. But we all know that Sexton's entire 2024 season, especially the Supercross part, was defined by him talking about the motorcycle. We're not there yet, we're not there yet. To the point where I think some people were thinking, will Sexton ever not talk about this? Because he sure talked about it a lot with the Honda. Is he always just gonna be the talking about the bike guy? Well, at least for now, he has proven he can do other things, because he just said over and over, much better place with the bike. He has the feel that he likes. It was a totally different attitude from Sexton here this year in December than December of 2023, but that's early days, right? They haven't raced yet. We'll see if that keeps up. I think, you know, all the fans, we want to see the maximum amount of competition, right? So if you hear that Sexton's in a good spot and Webb's in a good spot, and we know Tomac's in a good spot, and other guys all feeling better than ever, that's the kind of stuff that every fan likes to hear. You want to go into Anaheim 1 thinking that everybody is going to bring their best stuff. And that goes on and on down the list. Malcolm Stewart really needed last year to get his feet back under him. Said outdoors really helped him. Outdoors really helped him. He had a good time outdoors. He had a lot of fun. It kind of reminded him about the fun of racing and not having, he got to ride kind of pressure-free without any expectations outdoors. And the joy came back. He feels a lot better this year. Don't they all? But he does. Aaron Plessinger building off last year feels great. Again, things he can replicate or even improve on what he did last year, which we know was a big breakthrough. Jason Anderson, year 2 with the bike. Anderson, as most people know, right, he has that super loose, free spirit image, but I think most fans who watch this closely know he's smarter than he lets on as far as being an analytical style racer. I mean, he had some amazing depth. Of literally at this point in his career, knowing what tracks he's going to be good on and what tracks he's going to struggle on and where he needs to finish at each, minimize the damage at some, really try to rally at others. He talked about, you know, now into his 30s, he can't quite do the training load that he used to, and he really has to watch his diet more closely than he used to. He wants to get a couple more years out of his career. He's even got a pinpointed, Anderson said he wants to race until his daughter is old enough to go to kindergarten, because that's when you've got to decide, where are we going to live for the rest of our lives? You know, once you got to pick a school. For now, he can go wherever. So that's interesting. We did not get Jorge Prado this week. There are some rumors of some crashes at the test track for Prado. It is early days in Supercross development for him. And just from some of the scuttlebutt I'm hearing, it has not been super smooth. That sounds terrible, but at the same time, if you really step back, that's probably, crashing is never good. Maybe that's an exceptionally bad case, but I do think that hearing early days of Prado starting his full-time Supercross career, there's been some bumps in the road. The big picture, that's probably what you'd almost expect to hear. This is going to be a work in progress in Supercross for Prado, and we could be here next year or 2 years from now, and he could be flying at the test track. It's just gonna take a bit. So those are just some of the stories. One of my favorites is, dude, these riders with absolutely hellacious tales of injury, illness, and what we've just come to. We're so callous in this sport. The level of injuries that these guys deal with in a given year is stuff that you would never hear one time from a baseball player, and we hear it all the time from these guys. It's kind of it's the nature of the game, right? It's what every one of us who've thrown a leg over a motorcycle have either felt or could feel at some point. So everything from Austin Faulkner's huge crash last year to Benny Bloss spending 22 days in a hospital with 9 surgeries on his broken arm that had compartment syndrome. Dylan Ferrandis was pretty much sick all year long. Ty Masterpool telling me the story of, he really didn't have any training base going into outdoors. He dug himself into the ground to try to win High Point and do well early in the year. And then he ended up with Epstein-Barr, and he wanted to get right into Supercross prep. But his trainer said, no, man, you have to take time off. But he's so motivated, and he doesn't want to take time off. RJ Hampshire, who broke his wrist, as you know, at the Pro Motocross opener last year, and then Came back at the end of the year, wrist was in so much pain, still rode the playoffs, took 5 weeks off, got back on the test track. His wrist hurt so bad, he actually basically kind of blacked out on the test track and ended up going for another RJ wild ride. This is only the kind of thing that would happen to RJ Hampshire. And then that resulted in another more minor injury, but it also reminded him that he's got to get that wrist re-looked at and fixed. He's done that now, but that's going to move him to 250 East, so he's not going to be able to defend the #1 plate on the West. He was also going to race a 450 on the East Coast races. Now that's out. These tales of woe, and then seeing riders just matter-of-factly telling you these stories with a smile on their face because they're still fired up about going racing again. It's just so hard to describe. Is this ever more the if you know sport, right? It just sounds absolutely crazy when you start hearing a whole bunch of these stories at the same time. The constant mega injury drove your body to the point that you had illness. Dylan Ferrandis sick all year, like I mentioned, and the list goes on. Yet the joy in all of these guys and how much they are looking forward to coming here in a month and having what in their mind is going to be an amazing season. People that don't get it would say, after those stories, why would you ever want to do this again? You just got to hop on a motorcycle and race it to understand that there isn't anything else out there that can give you this feeling. And that's even for those who have just ridden, like me and you, not those who have ridden in front of a sold-out stadium here at A1 like those guys. And that's what keeps them going. Man, am I fired up. I wish we could just race right here this Saturday. So many of these guys are ready. So many of these guys are healthy. They're flying at the test track. They're feeling so good. This is the feeling we all want. Hashtag Deep Field, a month out from the 2025 season. Can't wait to be back in a few weeks.